Today on Locked On Red Wings, we make the worst decision in the world on doing our first ever post-game crossover with the Locked On Devils as they bring a thumping to the Detroit Red Wings. Red Wings lose their first game in regulation, a final score of 6-2.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Steven stepped up, nailed it. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. I am a podcast producer for WWJ News Radio 950. Scotty is a freelance journalist for the Detroit News and host of Locked On Tigers. There, you got us through our part. Today, we are doing a crossover episode with the host of Locked On New Jersey Devils, Trey Matthews. He is a very happy camper today, I would imagine, but, got to say it anyways. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I mean, I was expecting, with all due respect, a better battle because
we were too.
I said it in the last episode because you guys beat us second game of the year in, pretty dominant fashion, 5-2, if my memory serves me correctly. So, and you guys haven't lost in regulation going into this game. So I was expecting a better fight or, at the very least, if the Devils were going to win, maybe it would be by the skin of their teeth, especially how we lost to the Washington Capitals just last night.
Well, and so Scotty and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, and we were talking about how this is like the last team, and with all due respect to you, I don't think either of our teams are probably going to be playoff teams yet. I mean, the Devils looked fantastic tonight. It could be a close race in your division in Metropolitan for maybe one of those wild cards, but the Atlantic division is absolutely stacked. So we were talking last night that this might be the last time for a while because I think we play the Capitals next.
It's
so the Red
Boston,
sorry.
Minnesota, Washington. Yeah,
Buffalo's
it's a gauntlet the next 5 or 6. Yeah,
and we were talking about you have to get these 2 points. You got to stay hot now because you're going to start playing the bona fide playoff contenders. But the Devils came out off a second half of a back-to-back, and we all know those underlying numbers. They showed it on the broadcast. You're top in Corsi 4 percentage, top in shots 4 per game. It's just the one thing was that you were letting up goals that probably shouldn't happen, and the Devils were not converting on their opportunities. Well, tonight, the Red Wings got a reality check. They came back down to earth. They will, in fact, not go lossless in regulation throughout the season. And the Devils, I think, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I have a feeling you're going to back me up. This was an accumulation of all the good things you saw finally coming to a head.
Yeah, so in our last game against Washington Capitals, I was actually talking to Michael DeStefano of Locked On Leafs about the overall advanced analytics for New Jersey Devils. If you were to look at the last game for the Washington Capitals, I could tell the big difference between if you're scoreboard watching or if you're actually looking at the analytics or the actual game itself. Because the fact of the matter is this: the New Jersey Devils, they created a lot of good high danger shots for themselves. They had a lot of grade A chances. They were, trying to formulate a decent game plan. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out in their favor just due to, some defensive lapses. Mackenzie Blackwood didn't have his best outing. And, Bryce Salvador, who's a friend of my show and also, analysis for MSG, he actually acknowledged it during a timeout a couple games ago, which is the New Jersey Devils. If you look at their goals against and their goals for numbers, they're actually top in the league. Going into the matchup against Washington Capitals, they were tops in both respective categories. So the New Jersey Devils, their overall game plan is better than it has been the last few years. And the fact of the matter is the scoreboard doesn't do us justice. I know we're middle of the pack right now in the Metro and still very early, but the fact of the matter is this: the New Jersey Devils have, created decent looks for themselves, but the overall execution was lacking. And this game against you guys and then a few games ago against the New York Islanders was basically the epitome of what the New Jersey Devils could potentially be, which is they're a team that can run and gun. They're a team that can, capitalize on your mistakes. They're a team that if they have decent goaltending, then this might actually be somewhat of a respectable season for them.
I mean, I know I'm kind of dominating here, Scotty. I apologize, but I mean, I do have a soft spot for the Devils too. You look at, I believe it was, Scotty, I'm drawing a blank here, but somebody had those prospect depth pool rankings at the start of the season, and it was Wings and Devils right next to each other in the top 5. And the
Might have been the one
Devils,
for the Athletic, yeah.
was it Chris
Might have-
Pronman?
Yeah,
Is that the
maybe.
one I'm
It
thinking of?
might have been Dom. I don't know. Somebody, yeah.
So, and the talent pool that the Devils have is so great, but it's so young. I think they're the youngest team in the NHL this year because the Red Wings made a bunch of offseason acquisitions. Not.
No, they're one of. I think the youngest team in the NHL are either the Buffalo Sabres or the Columbus Blue Jackets.
So the second or third youngest team in the NHL, and that's why I wasn't sure what to expect out of the Devils coming into the season because the talent they have is real. It's just that is that talent got enough experience and have played enough games to bring it all together? And this was the game where it really came all together for the New Jersey Devils, and they picked apart the Detroit Red Wings. And Scotty, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but the Red Wings looked bad in every zone, and it was something we talked about yesterday in yesterday's episode, what they got to do to continue this hot streak, and they did none of that in this game.
Yeah, I mean, what we talked about on yesterday's episode really holds like no merit anymore. Like it's not even a conversation of, oh, they didn't do the things we talked about, or oh, they didn't do these points that we highlighted and that we wanted to really hone in on as like areas for improvement or whatnot. Like they did nothing. There was no part of the Detroit Red Wings game that was good in this one. The offense was brutal. They had 5-6 shots after the first period. Were like legitimately minutes into the second period and had not hit double-digit shots yet. The penalty kill finally gave up a goal. That was the first penalty kill goal they've given up all season. Not that was going to last anyway, but still, just like everything that possibly could have gone wrong did. Ned didn't look great, but also that was one of the worst. That's easily the worst defensive performance by the Wings this season. I don't think that's even remotely close. And dating back to last season, like that's up there with I guess, well, during some stretches, maybe an on-brand defensive performance from if we're comparing it to last year, but really, really brutal all around. There's not too many bright spots when it comes to areas of the game, maybe some individual performances, but as far as groups go, literally everything was just brutal.
I mean, like I kind of felt, I tweeted it out, I think after maybe I think it was a shorthanded goal, because it really felt when they gave up that shorthanded goal, I was like, this is the Devils game. Like this is going to be the first loss, because when you get a penalty in front of your own net like that, or you draw a penalty in front of your own net, so you're going to get that face off in the offensive zone. I'm sorry, it was in front of the Devils net rather. You get that face off in the offensive zone, and then you immediately cough the puck up 12 seconds into the face off, and it goes down for a shorthanded goal. And then also, back up a little bit. We talk about face-offs. Now, I do believe they were winning the face-offs for the two periods, but one key face-off that they lost, as Trey, for context for you, Red Wings are horrible on face-offs this season. They have 4 left-handed centermen. They can't win draws. They lose almost every game in draw percentages. Their power play goal the Devils had, the first one the Red Wings let up all season, was off of a face-off. So, we talk about those things that they needed to improve on and things they needed to keep doing. The power play that they had 3 goals off of in the game against the Ducks stunk. The penalty kill that was perfect stunk. It was just all around. It was a bad game. And I mean, again, credit to your Devils, Trey, because they just absolutely swarmed. I mean, was there a standout performer, one player you thought was the best player on the ice in this game?
It's funny how you say best player on the ice. We Devils fans say he's the best player in the NHL. Are you guys familiar with Jesper Bratt? Like, just be honest with me.
We talked about him yesterday because we recorded before the Capitals game. So at the time he had 8 assists and no goals, but I believe he scored a goal yesterday. And now again tonight, I believe.
Twice.
Yep.
Yes. So Jesper Bratt is currently tied for first place for, at the time of recording, for the most points in the NHL for right now. So the inside joke is that we Devils fans always say that he is the best player in the NHL. And he has been so good for the New Jersey Devils. Just, so far in 7 straight games, he's racked up a point. The record for the New Jersey Devils is 10. So hopefully he's able to, get it to 11, whatever the case might be. But that's a few steps ahead. But going into the season, I said that Jesper Bratt is still one of the more underrated players in the entire NHL. Just because, despite him having a good season last year and leading the New Jersey Devils in points, assists, and tied with Jack Hughes for most goals on the team, I still said outside the Metro, no one was really talking about him. And I said in my article for Pucks and Pitchforks, which is the site I work at for the New Jersey Devils, or whether it's a podcast episode, whatever the case might be, I said this season is going to be Jesper Bratt's breakout year, because I think he is definitely in the running to make the All-Star team if he keeps up this very good productive pace that he has. And that's why I asked you guys, are you familiar with Jesper Bratt? Are you familiar with what he could potentially do? Just because, I still feel as though he's very underrated. And once he becomes an all-star, similar to Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes, then I think that's his true breakout season for the Devils.
Yeah, I think that you're spot on with the underrated conversation with him. I think he, especially again, if he can continue a pace this season. I really liked I didn't like it because it was against my team, but I thought Mercer looked phenomenal tonight. I don't like that's somebody that as far as familiarity goes, like I'm not too familiar with, but I thought he was incredible. Like even besides the goal in this one, I thought he was a really big standout, and I saw that a lot of conversation, a lot of discourse after he had scored it just about how good he's looked so far this season too.
Oh yeah, he's definitely taken a few steps forward. The name of the game for Dawson Mercer: don't hit the rookie or don't hit the sophomore year slump. Excuse me.
Sure.
So that's the name of the game. That's the name of the game for Dawson Mercer right now, because last year he was actually competing for the first few months with Lucas Raymond for possibly, being the favorite to win the Calder Trophy. And then as the season progressed, it went to obviously Mo Sider, still on your team. But still, the thing about Dawson Mercer is that going into the season, I said he is definitely going to be an X factor for the New Jersey Devils just because he has solid production. He has great speed. I think Jack Hughes has really done a great job during the course of last year, just getting the full potential out of Dawson Mercer. And now the name of the game this year for Dawson Mercer was like, can he still blossom without the assistance of Jack Hughes? Because, Jack Hughes can't continue to hold the hand of Dawson Mercer or Yegor Sharangovich for the next couple years. They're going to have to break out and become their own players. And, we saw Yegor Sharangovich, he got a shorthanded goal, went top shelf on Nedeljkovic, or Dawson Mercer able to tie the game in period number 1. So this was definitely an A+ performance for the New Jersey Devils because, despite getting off to a slow start, because the first 3 or so minutes of the game, I was actually nervous because they looked tired. They looked like the Red Wings came out the more aggressive team. Once they scored that first goal, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a long night because the Devils this is going to be a back-to-back for the New Jersey Devils. So I just thought, they're out of it. But then once Dawson Mercer tied it up, I was just like, just something clicked, and just, the Devils just put their foot on the gas pedal, didn't look back. Second period was a name of poor special teams for the Detroit Red Wings, giving up a shorthanded goal and also a power play goal. The shorthanded to Sharangovich, and then the power play to Jesper Bratt. So ultimately, guys, no disrespect or anything, but this was just our game to win. And,
absolutely. We won't deny that. The Red Wings played like crap and the Devils played phenomenal. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. Scotty and I will talk about the lone bright spot in this game for the Detroit Red Wings. And obviously we'll continue talking to Trey because I want to talk to you about Damon Severson because I think he had a phenomenal game and the metrics back it up. But first, I got to talk to you guys today about BetOnline. Oh, I got to use the smaller banner for this one. That way we don't block Scotty's beautiful face. We wouldn't want that. BetOnline.net is your number one source for betting football and the start of the new basketball season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, and news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Please remember to gamble responsibly.
Yes, gamble responsibly for sure. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty and I are joined by Trey Matthews of Locked On New Jersey Devils. As he, two of us are very down bad about this game, and one of us is very excited, and I'm pretty sure you all know who it is. But Scotty, I want to talk real quick. The Red Wings had a lone bright spot in this game, and Dominik Kubalik continues to play incredibly well for the Detroit Red Wings. And now it wasn't like everyone. Nobody had a consistently good game throughout, but Kubalik did register another goal and an assist. So he had a point on both goals for the Red Wings in this game. And I mean, it just goes to show like he's feeling more and more. And again, through now 6 games, we want to pump the brakes a little bit. Derek Lalonde said so. Pump the brakes a little bit in his pre-game media availability. But Now he's up to what, 10 points in 6 games with the Detroit Red Wings. He has been one of the most, I won't even say one of the most exciting players for Detroit Red Wings fans through these first 6.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you continue to see the benefits of having him on your team, and especially in games like this where you're just getting outclassed and outplayed pretty much across the board in every single category. And to just have someone that hey, at least I know for a fact that if the puck gets on Dominic Kubalik's stick, he's going to rip it and just put the puck on net at least. Like those are the games where I think he only had 2 shots in this one, but these are the games where when the shot total's low and you can't seem to get any offense going, these are the games that you're thankful you still have Kubalik at least on your offense for a large majority of the night, because I mean, clearly, right? He had points for in the only 2 goals that we scored. So I think that's very much a lone bright spot and somebody that I think everyone continues to get more and more excited about. And he's been a great addition clearly, but obviously can't be responsible for 7 goals on his own tonight, which is what it would have taken for the team to overcome it. So a lone bright spot for sure. Doesn't change anything, but nice to have him and at least know the shots aren't coming. But if Kubalik's out there, we can at least kind of assume that some shots are going to get on net at some point.
I teased it before the break, though, as well. Damon Severson's probably another guy in the Devils that isn't getting a lot of media hype around just national media, locked on media, but he had a very good game tonight. If you look at 5-on-5 expected goals for percentage, his expected goals for percentage in this game was about, I have it up here, it's got to find it, was 81.19%. So we're talking about the quality shots for versus quality shots against. He was an 80th percentile, which is incredible. So I want to ask you, is this something that we should expect out of a guy like Severson more often, or is this more of he just had a great game?
He had a great game, and he was one of our best defensemen last year, especially from the offensive side of things. But the problem with Damon Severson and his overall situation with the New Jersey Devils is we're kind of in an impasse when it comes to his future, because the fact of the matter is this: he's a very good player, and I love having him on the roster despite him making some boneheaded plays at times. The problem is, like, he's going to have to get paid. So the question is, like, do we trade him? Do we keep him around? Do we, bite the bullet and pay him? I don't think door number 2 is going to happen. I think best case scenario is that you're going to have to trade him while his value is still somewhat decent. So Severson, he knows that he's most likely on borrowed time for a New Jersey Devils, and he's a great player. He had a great game, like you said. He was able to have an assist. A couple games ago, he had a great pass towards Jack Hughes for getting his first of the year, if my memory serves me well. But overall, Damon Severson, he's a very good player, one of our best offensive defensemen on the team. And, I love having him, but the problem is like his future with the New Jersey Devils, I can't get too attached. That's just the name of the game.
Can I just say really quickly, Kessel just scored his 400th goal in this game of all games.
Let's go.
It just happened right now.
Wow.
He becomes the NHL Iron Man and scores 400 in the same night. Unreal.
I love that, man. I have a buddy of mine who, and not to get too off topic, but he was preaching to me in the locker room before every game. He's like, we need to get Phil Kessel here. We need to get Phil Kessel here. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, how much does he have left in the tank? Well, apparently a lot, because he's still playing at a pretty high level. So I'll bite the bullet and admit I was wrong. I've been wrong before. But back to
he's playing in Vegas. He's playing in Vegas. People get lucky in Vegas all the time.
Yeah, there you go. Hey-o. But yeah, what did you see out of your goaltender too in this game? Obviously, you went back to Vincent Vanacek. I believe this was his second game played. The first time he played was against the Detroit Red Wings in their 5-2 victory over the Devils. I will say, too, in that game against the Devils, that first one, I thought that the Devils outplayed the Red Wings in that game as well, but it was because of goaltending. Mostly, I would say bad defense as well, as to why the Red Wings came out with the win in that one. But you went back to Vanacek against the Red Wings in this one, and this time, obviously the Red Wings didn't get a ton of shots, but he made the saves that counted, and you guys walked away with a 6-2 win.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about goaltending is that Vitek Vanacek was bound to get another chance, because in the last game against Washington Capitals, The fact of the matter is this: Mackenzie Blackwood didn't have his best outing. I'm sure there were a few saves that he would have liked to have back. Obviously, there were some defensive lapses, like I said early on in the episode. So Vitek Vanacek had to come in and save face, but this was certainly a much-needed booster for Vanacek to try to improve upon his stats because, like you said, first game of the year against the Detroit Red Wings didn't do all that hot. And the name of the game is this for New Jersey Devils. We're going to have to find which goalie has a hot hand and just ride with that because we went from like having a solid goalie tandem to now just saying like who sucks the least. And, it was a true challenge for Mackenzie Blackwood against Washington Capitals because his 3 wins, and not to discredit him because he certainly earned, being named one of the top NHL performers last week. He was one of the NHL's 3 stars. Not to discredit him, but he's playing against the Anaheim Ducks. He's playing against the New York Islanders. He's playing against the San Jose Sharks. And, Anaheim Ducks, talked with JD Hernandez of Locked On Ducks about this. They give up a lot of shots on goal. So, it's hard for the Ducks to retaliate in their offensive zone pressure. Or, you look at the San Jose Sharks. They're purposely, even if they're not going to admit this, they're purposely tanking for Connor Bedard.
Correct.
And then, when look at the New York Islanders, they didn't get a shot on goal on Mackenzie Blackwood until halfway done with period number 1. So he didn't really have that much of a challenge. But at the same time, they still got a few good, decent looks coming his way. So my thing for the goaltending for New Jersey Devils is that I think it's heading in the right direction. I still think Mackenzie Blackwood is going to be the go-to guy for New Jersey Devils moving forward. And Vitek Vanacek had a very solid outing for the Devils this time around against the Detroit Red Wings. He made a few key stops because even though the New Jersey Devils were in the lead at one point, it was a 4-1 game. And he made a big stop. And, that could have been a momentum booster for the Detroit Red Wings because there was still time remaining in the game. So my thing is like the goaltending is starting to improve. It's starting to get better. And I have more faith in it this season than I did last year. But it's not perfect. But if we want to be somewhat competitive, if we want to, earn a wild card position, which is my ceiling for New Jersey Devils this year, goaltending is definitely going to have to be the name of the game moving forward. And like you said, despite the New Jersey Devils looking at, or creating decent looks for themselves, they just can't stop anything. And I talked with Michael DeStefano of Locked On Leafs just last night about that, how the New Jersey Devils, despite the scoreboard not doing them justice, they still, crushed the Washington Capitals in the advanced stats column. Mm-hmm. And normally I'm not the biggest fan at looking, at advanced analytics.
I'm a big fan of advanced analytics. We're going to disagree on that.
Ryan's a nerd.
I'm more of a like, old school kind of guy, which is like, okay,
I test,
yeah. Just like, did the shot go in? I don't care at velocity. I don't care at what angle. I don't care, what's the expectancy or whatever the case might be. But I'm just trying to shed some light for, the front office for probably not trying to be too, quick to move on from our head coach of Lindy Ruff. And that's probably the name of the game. And Bryce Salvador admitted to it, just like, that's what the Devils have right now, which is game planning is looking decent, but can they execute? And I talked about it on the power play against the Philadelphia Flyers. It looks more polished. It looks more ready to go. And the New Jersey Devils, it looks like they create decent looks for themselves. But I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, but execution sometimes lacking.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to wrap this conversation up next in segment 3, but before we can get there, I do got to talk to you guys today about SimpliSafe. The numbers don't lie. In the last decade, over 4 million people have chosen SimpliSafe home security to protect their home. You don't earn the trust of that many people without doing something right. At SimpliSafe, your safety is the only thing that matters. You're going to know this because, they will send people to your house without you there if they detect something wrong. That's the type of home security that you're going to get with SimpliSafe. If they detect a threat is real, they're going to send cops there and then let you know. Like, that is just incredible that it's just automatic in the way that they defend you. They protect you with cutting-edge security technology powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your back. Here's why you're going to love it. With 24/7 professional monitoring, SimpliSafe's agents call you the moment a threat is detected and dispatch police or first responders in an emergency, even if your home or cannot be reached. If you're not home or cannot be reached, that's what I was just talking about. SimpliSafe blankets your home protection with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door. HD security cameras for inside and outside your home. Smarter ways to detect motion that alert you when a threat is real, and when even hazard sensors that instantly detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplisafe.com/LockedOnNHL. Save 20% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month free. Visit simplisafe.com/LockedOnNHL to learn more. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings. We are joined by Trey Matthews of Locked On Devils. We're breaking down the Red Wings 6-2 loss, or if you're Trey, the Devils 6-2 win from last night. And Scotty, I wanted to talk to you about this in regards to the Vitek Vinacek. I got to say it 3 times because I kept messing up that first name, but it's Vitek. Vanacek. These European names, man. You know how long we had Elmer Soderblom in camp all preseason, and I'm like, I'm waiting for somebody to pronounce his name because I can't. I don't know what it is. There's all these Europeans, man. Vitek.
Vanacek. Like Vanacek. Now,
okay.
Now here's the thing. Like you and I are both play-by-play announcers. I always say like one of the criteria is to play hockey. You need a confusing last name that nobody knows how to pronounce.
Serious? No, it really is. I mean, even at the ACHA level, which I do, there's still guys like that. And it's just like, where do these people come from? Well, overseas in Europe, evidently. But with Nedeljkovic, he has kind of caught a bad break. This was a game I don't feel is entirely on him. And I wouldn't say we've been ragging on him, Scotty. He's been playing okay in the games he has, but I mean, in the Red Wings losses, he's been in net for most of them, except for the loss the other night with Ville Husso in net. But he's been, Lalonde said it during the pregame press media availability, that his losses that he was in net for were during home openers for other teams. And then obviously tonight against the Devils, who are just came out and flying, and his team gave him no support. I thought with Devils ended up with almost over 40 shots on net.
This 41,
one. Yeah. 41 shots. I thought he played fine. I have a hard time giving him, a tough time in this game where he got no support. It looked a lot like last year. This is just one of those games where I can't blame Nedeljkovic, and I will cut him some slack because he was not given any help.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, and that both can be true. Like, he can have let up some bad goals. I thought that the 6th goal was not a very sounds weird to say, I guess, but I didn't think that I think it was the last goal, the 5th or 6th goal. Whatever one was just kind of a breakaway from the wing there, but I didn't think that he certainly wasn't stellar. He wasn't great. He wasn't even good, but no, I think that this performance was much more of an indictment on how poor the defense was than it was anything really on net. And I know that everything went wrong. Like, no one's rushing to the defense and being like, oh, like he looked great. Like, no, he didn't look good either. But I do tend to agree with you. Right? I think this is way more of the defense was absolutely putrid than it was Ned was, really terrible. I thought that it was just, I mean, there was one, whatever the scramble in front of the net where then it ended up being like a spinorama, whatever goal. Like, where is anyone? No one. Like, that was.
Are you referring to Nico Hischier's goal where basically, let's see if I can. Okay, so that was created by Tomas Tatar. And Nedeljkovic basically got exposed because Nico Hischier was right in front of the crease, and all Nico Hischier had to do was just do a simple spin around move and found the back of the net with ease. I think that's I said
exactly.
Caught napping right there. Unfortunately, he was just caught in a vulnerable position.
That was the case.
And that's my point. Like, it wasn't even that wasn't even like, like, what is Ned really supposed to do? Like, yeah, he might have overbit and went a little too far out of there, I guess. But the forwards are nowhere. The defense is nowhere. Like, there was no one there to help, and that was just really the story of the game. I mean, it was any shot you can imagine. The like peppered shots just to get like a shot on net. It was the high danger shots. It was shots from the slot. Like there was no resistance on literally anything. Like honestly, these are the kind of games that are like maybe not as much in Trey's instance, but in our, like when you get just destroyed, those are tough games to even analyze because like that's clearly, I mean, hopefully not what we're going to see. Like this is very clearly so far this season, 6 games in, an outlier. So like it's hard to even be like, oh, like yes, it was all terrible, but I don't expect them to go out there and play like this every game the rest of the season. Like this sucked. It was a stinker. I hated watching every second of it. It was absolutely brutal. And like, that's just what it is. You take your lumps. Every team in the NHL at some point is going to have a brutal game. It's just about minimizing them and going out and winning and, rebounding and putting up a way better performance the next time you go out there than it is anything else.
Scotty, I mean, Lalone, sorry to cut you off. Lalone tried to warn us before the game during the pregame media availability after practice. And he said, check yourself. The reality check's coming. What was the exact word he used? He said, pump the brakes. He said, pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes.
He said, at 5-on-5, we're not playing very well. We've got good goaltending, and power play has begun to come alive. Penalty kill has been great, but at 5-on-5, we have not been playing well. And I mean, obviously, along with the special teams, but today they really got exposed. So I was texting you, and I was like, man, Derek Lalone was a little bit of a bummer today. The Red Wings have been so hot, and he's out here being like, don't expect, like, we're not a high caliber team. We might not even be a mid caliber team. And then like they go out there and drop that performance. It's like, wow, he was trying to warn us for sure.
He might.
He might be the head coach of the hockey team for a reason. But yeah, I mean, Trey, what you got final thoughts, man? Like, go ahead and just live it up.
Okay. I don't mean to add insult to injury, but
go for it. They played
Jesper
bad.
Bratt dominated in this game, right? Okay, we've established that. 2 goals and 1 assist. This might stun you guys, but Jesper Bratt got the 3rd least amount of ice time on the entire roster for New Jersey Devils. So people like Michael McLeod got more ice time than him. So Alexander Holtz got the least amount of ice time, which was to be expected because it seems like his skates are heavier than usual. I don't know why. Then Dawson Mercer got the 2nd least amount of ice time. Then Jesper Bratt. So this is one of the reasons why, the New Jersey Devils, we have these discussions saying, should Lindy Ruff be fired or not? Because we don't know why is Jesper Bratt getting the 3rd least amount of ice time when he's dominating like this. So I just had to say that for my respective fan base, which is I understand and I hear it. And, we just got to, that's just another glaring issue that the New Jersey Devils need to work out. So,
well, it was like Vrana being on the 3rd line last year at the end of the year. Why was Jacob Vrana playing on the 3rd line?
Yep.
There's just sometimes you're like, what is the head coach thinking? This guy's a top 6 forward.
Yeah, but no one's going to really talk about it just because the Devils came out and dominated in this game. So, like I do every episode, if I had to give a letter grade for New Jersey Devils, I'm going to say this is going to be my first A+ because despite letting off the first goal of the game, they rebounded. Then the second period became their period. They got shorthanded goal. They got a power play goal. And, despite the Red Wings cutting the lead in half 4-2, the New Jersey Devils were able to get a couple extra insurance goals. And Jesper Bratt just looked like a man on fire out there, despite getting not that much ice time compared to some of his other teammates. So, ultimately, this was a pitch-perfect game for New Jersey Devils. Vitek Vanecek looked good. And the only time I was concerned for the Devils was early on when Dylan Larkin scored, because I was just like, I think the Devils might be a little tired, but they just flipped the switch and, kicked it into a new gear.
Well, and for the record, Dylan Larkin does that. I mean, that he did that all last year. He would seemingly come out and score a goal in like the first 3 minutes. And like you would think that would set the tone, but the Red Wings were really bad last year. But it's kind of nice seeing him do that again this year. He scored a pretty quick goal. Was it the last game or the goal?
Had a lot of semblance of last season. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where they came out hot and then fell apart. not what you wanted to say.
Yeah.
For our purposes, Scotty, there are 2 Red Wings that had a above 50% Corsi for percentage in this game. And number 1 at 63% Corsi for percentage. So was more shot attempts for than shot attempts against was David Perron. Number 2, the only other guy on the team that was on the ice for more shot attempts for than shot attempts against at 5-on-5, Filip Zadina. So, I just want to stir the pot a little bit on the Filip Zadina conversation.
You want to stir the pot in a 6-2 loss about
Absolutely, I do. What are we doing here, Scotty? You always got to stir the Philip Zadina pot. Philip Zadina was the best player on a horrible team. Scotty, if we're going to give it a letter grade, let's follow Trey's suit there. F?
Sounds like a great idea.
Solid F minus.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a solid F. Like a really solid.
Like you're bold and italicized.
F.
Maybe underline it too.
Yeah, I not like a like a 20% F. Not like me in math class growing up, but like a solid like 48% F. Like you didn't even come close really, but you didn't get a 0. You got something right, but like, yeah, that's an F for sure.
Gotcha. All right, Trey. Vitek Vanacek.
Correct.
Let's go. Ending on a high note. All right.
Damon
Severson. All right. Good. We're good. We're good, guys. Getting a little bit better every single episode. We'll be back. Any final thoughts, Trey, before I send us off?
Our next game for the Devils, at least, going to be a big challenge. We're taking on the reigning Stanley Cup champion, Colorado Avalanche.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fun one.
We're a little dinged up, but even at their worst, still not a team you can definitely not sleep on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Scotty and I will be back with you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.